to the 3D side, there's the complete content management system. And once again, Dave's going to talk a little bit about the future, and that's going to be quite relevant to add the content management side into 3D to add more richness in the future, that's for sure.
Okay. Dave, you want to talk about the future of Zuant? What's coming? What's your roadmap?
Sure, I can give you a preview into what the R&D team are working on. So let's have a look at some of those. First one to mention, we've already touched on it really. It's a sort of receptionist. So we've seen the radar, and you'll be able to, from the radar screen, initiate conversations with the visitors. That could be text or it could be video. So we see here what the visitor would see. So if you embed a receptionist into the black box, then the visitor can be moving around a particular space. They've got the black box there. They can receive an invite from an agent saying, would you like some assistance with that? And then we can just fire up a video chat, and the agent can see what the visitor is seeing, chat over a video link to help them through the space, and again with a focus on looking at selling.
That's cool. Let me see if I understand that. For clarification, if you're an enterprise client, one of the features that's coming with Zuant is the ability to do live guided chat within a Matterport tour powered by Zuant. So if I'm in a retail store and I'm looking at a refrigerator and I got some questions about it, rather than doing perhaps a text chat, I could actually do a video chat with the agent that's looking at the same screen, the same refrigerator I am, and perhaps help close the sale with the 3 questions that I have about that refrigerator.
Much more eloquently put than my own words there, Dan. Yes, absolutely right. And the agent could be watching the radar screen and could initiate the chat from there, or the visitor could request a chat from their end. So it's sort of bi-directional initiation. But
so
yes,
awesome. Dan, I see that you're looking at this awesome refrigerator. Happy to chat with you and help answer questions about it. So the video chat, the live guided tour, could be initiated either by the agent or by the user of the tour, or both.
Yes, and that's where we feel there's value in scoring points. So if someone's actually got inside the Lotus Emira, okay, then maybe we'll bump them up and give them 20 points just because they went to a particular point within the space. They then appear in the radar at the top of the radar. So the agent could be seeing 50 real-time radar snapshots, but the top 5 have got the highest scores. So they're the ones that they want to go and chat with.
So in this case, Dave, your client, let's say Lotus, for example, as an enterprise client might say, you know, when people spend this amount of time inside the car, the likelihood of their purchase intent is super high. So we'd like to engage them immediately in a live guided chat.
Exactly. And radar, one of the concepts behind radar that you haven't seen is the ability to filter the snapshots that you see. So it could be that if someone spends at least 3 minutes inside the car, then they pop up on the radar. Okay. Or if they've been inside the entire space for 6.5 minutes, then they pop up on the radar. So you could have lots of people wandering about, but it's only once they satisfy certain criteria that they appear on the radar.
As set by the client, as set by the enterprise client. Okay, great. So that sounds like an awesome feature, live guided chat, video chat.
Yeah, we're quite excited about that one.
Yeah, today is Thursday, January 19th, 2023. When's that feature available for enterprise?
Oh, crikey. You're talking to one of the developers here, Dan, the guy who runs the development team. So I'd never commit to any sort of any delivery date on that. He could probably give you a date, but he'd just be making it up.
2025?
Oh, I would hope.
If you ask me, you could have it tomorrow, Dan.
Yeah. So let's hear from the Chief Executive Officer, Pete. When will this feature be available?
This is top of the list, and we're doing tests with our call center partner. I guess they're going to start before the end of Q1.
New feature. Please talk to us about call center.
Yes, for the whole lead management, response management, multilingual handling. One of the networks that we've developed over the last 20 years is a call center network. They're all privately owned call centers within each major industrial nation. So it started across Europe with quite a comprehensive network, expanded to the States, Mexico, South Africa, Middle East, and Asia Pacific region. So they have a multitude of tasks, from cleaning leads, making appointments for salespeople in different languages. And so they're ideally suited to be sitting there ready to dive into 3D conversations for different clients, if those enterprise clients don't have the internal capacity to do that themselves.
Okay, so you're an enterprise client, you want to have live guided chat, you're not ready to train your internal or external call center. Zuant has a call center client that's happy perhaps to provide tier 1 support on whatever those filters are before that super hot lead is turned over to the client.
Indeed, exactly right.
All right, so we've talked about 2 awesome coming soon features, call center implementation, live guided chat. Dave, what else is on your roadmap?
Yeah, okay. So I think I quite deftly avoided that question. I'm impressed.
You did very well, but we go to the marketing person who immediately tells us yesterday you can have it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm used to that. So here we go with another feature in R&D, which is called microforms. Basically, we've seen the black box. Well, we have the concept of a white box. So the black box will turn into the white box that contains a microform, typically just a single question. So at a particular point, when they get to a point in the space, it thinks, oh, it'll be handy to ask them a particular question at this point. So have you driven a Lamborghini before? And it could be that it pops up not just because they've arrived at a point, because they've been in the space for 2 minutes or they've just arrived. So there'll be a number of criteria, again, to say, well, let's ask them this particular question. And you've seen the activity list, the way that's aggregated into the lead. So the answers to these questions will go into the activities. They can be scored, they can trigger radar views, etc. So that's microforms right there.
Is that microform, is that a content billboard, or is content billboard something else?
No, let's look at content billboard right now.
And then I see I had a note here about CAD 3D. Something you want to tell us about that?
I've got both of those things lined up here, Dan. You're on top of me here. So here we go with the billboard. And again, at the bottom, this can be triggered by arriving at a particular point or looking in a particular direction. And we think, okay, let's show them some marketing literature, let's show them some additional content. So at the bottom, this billboard letterbox shaped panel at the bottom will swing into view. And then as they move away from this point, then it will swing out of view. And you can say, well, look, when we're looking at this particular car, an Aventador, let's pop up a billboard that shows some prices and colors. They could interact with this. When they're looking at other things, then we'll pop up other bits of billboard content. So the billboard, again, it's this embellishment that sits just next to the Matterport space. We have the black box, we've got the white box of microforms, we've got the billboard at the bottom. So these are all ways of extending that Matterport space, adding value to it, gleaning the interest of the visitor, interacting with them more. So we're just building in a whole load of embellishments to the Matterport space to create a richer experience, really.
Okay, awesome.
So let me move on to CAD. So this is the final thing that I'm going to show you. And again, really courtesy of Matterport's wonderful platform, you can embed 3D CAD models within Matterport spaces. So this server that we're seeing in front of us with the blue lights, that can be a 3D CAD model, which we embed into the space. We can spin it around, break it apart, do all sorts of things. So again, if you think about companies like
I don't see any movement on my screen. Are you?
Oh,
showing...
I'm not. No, this is why this is why I never commit to any delivery dates. And I haven't even mocked up the thing being broken apart. But
in terms of adding 3D models to Matterport spaces, will that be a feature of Zuant to facilitate that?
Yes, you'll be able to take your 3D CAD model and just pop it into the space. So you could have many models in there, or you could just have a table that's got one thing on there. But again, bringing some logic into that, it could be that if you know who the visitor is and you know the answers to some of the questions in the microform, then the server that you see on the table or the electron microscope that you're putting in front of them can be a different model depending on who they are and what their profile is. Okay, so we'll be building some tools. It's very similar to billboards and microphones and so on. It'll just you'll be able to control those models and decide which models do you want to render into the space in real time, depending upon the profile of the visitor.
Do you have a particular vertical that you think that would appeal to primarily, first or second vertical for that?
Well, I guess some of the biotech enterprise customers, they've got lots of interesting, tasty tech that they would like to pop into these spaces. So that's quite a good market. That's showing
what about
a lot of interest.
AEC construction as built? Is this the kind of thing where you might be able to pre-visualize a space with a three-dimensional something that's been added to it?
You could certainly do that. I mean, there are companies, Matterport providers, partners who just specialize in staging spaces just statically. So they'll take a space, they'll just put the stuff in there. Furniture, for example, if you hadn't got an office.
Well, this is a little bit different. So we're not talking about virtual staging because that can be done with Matterport. We're actually talking about Zuant enabling 3D elements to be imported into the Matterport space. And depending on who you are, it might be different for A, B, or C.
Exactly.